Good afternoon. I hope that this message finds you well. Over the last couple of months that the pandemic has overtaken our world and overtaken our lives, so many things have changed. The way we work changes, the way we interact changes, and certainly our life in Shul changed as well. For it felt like an eternity we didn't have shiurim, we didn't have minyanim, but even during those times, Baruch Hashem, we each worked hard in order to ensure that the connections, our Kehilla connections, remained intact. Whether it was the fact that even when we couldn't daven together, we always had a Zoom minyan, of course not on Shabbos and Yom Tiv, but every weekday that we could, we davened together in the same zman, in the same times that we would normally daven when the shul was open. Despite the fact that we could not have shiurim together, Baruch Hashem, our Daf Yomi has not missed a day except for the 2-day Yamim Tovim, Shavuos and Pesach, but otherwise, even on Motzei Shabbos, there's a shir Baruch Hashem each and every day, and the daf has continued. Our other forms of learning, other shiurim, other ideas, other new series have begun during this time. Not only has our learning and spiritual growth not regressed or remained stagnant, but in fact, Baruch Hashem, it's grown with new opportunities for learning, enhanced connection and enhanced meaning in our daily lives. Delivered again through the mechanisms of YouTube, of Zoom, and for that, I have incredible Hakar Zatov to our wonderful tech committee who has worked so hard to make all of the Torah and all of the Tefillah accessible to so many. And Baruch Hashem, just a few weeks ago, we were privileged to resume our minyan here in the Shul parking lot. Baruch Hashem, many were privileged to resume backyard minyanim, block minyanim, and we've been privileged, Baruch Hashem, to daven here in the Shul parking lot over the last couple of weeks. A beautiful Shachris, beautiful Mincha Ma'ariv, and on Shabbos, amazingly enough, despite the fact that I think it's rained 2 out of the 3 last Friday nights, last Shabbos nights, and we've had Kabbalah Shabbos in the pouring rain. It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful because, Baruch Hashem, we're privileged to have magnificent and melodic Bali Tefillah. But it's been beautiful because, Baruch Hashem, we've been together. And so we've been working over the course of the last week or two with developing a reopening plan. Because you recognize that at some point in time we have to take additional steps towards normalcy. And the shul, which is our spiritual epicenter, the building has been closed, and it's time to try to figure out how to get back inside. And so with the help of wonderful medical professionals, we've devised a plan that I know is good, is responsible, allows us to reopen as a Kehilla, but also takes into account all of the important concerns and medical precautions that we must take in order to ensure that our pursuit of spirituality does not compromise our health, does not compromise our physicality. But in talking with a number of you over the last couple of days, I've also been sensitized to the fact that not everyone is comfortable with moving back inside. And that's for a variety of reasons. Some maybe because of acute health issues, some because why incur any additional risk if we could daven outdoors? Why daven indoors? And I've heard, and on the flip side, there are those who are very eager, chomping at the bit to get back inside as well. And my friends, this morning I had a little bit of an epiphany. And the epiphany was probably a very simple one. Probably, I'm sure, one that many of you have had over these last number of weeks. Shul is not the building. Shul is not the structure. The beauty of Shul is the Kehilla, is the congregation. The beauty of Shul is each of you, and I realized what's been missing from our lives is not the building. It's not the building. The building is wonderful. The building is beautiful. I mean, not so beautiful. We're going to build a beautiful building in Meretz Hashem. But the building itself, of course, is incredible, and it's the bricks and mortar that facilitate for so much to occur. But what makes a shul, what makes a Kehilla, are the people. The men, women, and children. That's what makes a congregation special. And so what I'd like to ask for this coming Shabbos is we're going to delay the reopening of the building for just a little bit. I'll be back in touch with all of you, Meretz Hashem, next week to go ahead and discuss a more specific timeline along with policies and procedures which will be necessary in order to open the shul. In Meretz Hashem, this Shabbos, we are going to remain in the parking lot of the shul, the back parking lot. For those of you who have seen it, you have a beautiful little tent city set up with fans, with lights, with chairs. Mamish beautiful. Pretty close to Gan Eden, as close as you could get to Gan Eden, maybe in the middle of a pandemic. And I would like to invite all of you to come and join us. I know that some of you are still davening at local block minyanim, yard minyanim, and I'm sure it's convenient. But convenience is not the most important thing. Being part of a Kehilla, being part of an extended family, Berov Am Hadras Melech, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is most acutely felt in a larger group, that's special. We're going to daven outdoors. So even a larger group, and again with social distancing, masks are absolutely necessary. But come and join us. If you're davening at a yard minyan, it's time to come home. It's time to come back. You'll say, but it's not. We're not in the building. We're in the shul. We're in the parking lot. My dear friends, I remind you, shul is not where the building is. Shul is where the people are. And the people will be in the parking lot this Shabbos. So come and join us. And if you are not yet davening with a minyan because you just don't feel comfortable, or again, you're over a particular age or have certain other medical conditions, please continue to daven at home. Do what is comfortable for you. We are living in unprecedented times. And because of that, no one should ever do anything that is uncomfortable for them. Person should never put themselves in a situation where they feel that they're compromising their health, they're compromising their standards. But if you are already davening with a minyan, please come home. Come back. I would love to have the schus to be able to daven with each of you this Shabbos. We have a men's section, we have a women's section. I cannot guarantee that everyone is going to get within the shade of the tent, the physical tent, but everybody will get the shade of the spiritual tent of the Kehilla. We're going to daven this Shabbos night at 7 o'clock p.m. and join us for a beautiful and melodic Kabbalah Shabbos. We're going to daven Shabbos morning at 8:30. I know it's supposed to be warm on Shabbos, but we're davening early. And yes, davening does move at a faster pace. We begin at 8:30 a.m. with Mizmor Shir. We're usually done about 10 o'clock, 10:15 or so that before the heat of the day sets in, you'll be able to come, daven, be together with your Kehilla, and go home. We will move into the building at some point in time. But my personal feeling is, it is so much more important to get everyone together, even if it's in a parking lot, than to have the Kehilla splintered up. You know, I was thinking, I had this image in my mind that there's going to be some chevra in the parking lot and some chevra in the shul. And while that's nice, and perhaps, again, it's definitely a step towards normalcy for me, and maybe this is a little bit selfish, it's so much more important to have everyone together than have the building open. And if by delaying the opening of the building just a couple of days into next week, it allows us to have our first Shabbos together in 3 months, the Kehilla together, that's worth a little bit of schwitzing. It's worth a little bit of sweating. It's worth a little bit of discomfort to be able to daven with your brothers and sisters, to be able to daven with your Kehilla. So my dear friends, for those of you who may be disappointed and upset at this message, I apologize. But I hope that in Meretz Hashem you will see that the achdus, the unity, the togetherness that will come from this Shabbos will far outweigh any discomfort or inconvenience. Davening Shabbos night is at 7 o'clock p.m. Davening Shabbos morning is at 8:30 a.m. Mincha in Meretz Hashem Shabbos afternoon will be at 8:25 p.m. with Ma'ariv at 9:10 p.m. You don't have to remember the times. We'll send out in the shul emails. And of course, Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv are already happening with Mincha Ma'ariv tonight at 8:30. Shachris tomorrow morning, every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Come back home. It's been too long. I can't wait to see all of you. I can't wait to daven with all of you. And in Meretz Hashem, being together, albeit in a parking lot, brings us one step closer, Meretz Hashem, to coming back into our building. But most importantly, brings us one step closer to the achdus, to the unity, to the togetherness that really makes our Kehilla. Wishing everyone a wonderful day and looking forward to a beautiful Shabbos together.